I've also received the endorsement of county commissioners and other elected officials. Why? Why would mayors step out of a comfort zone and endorse a candidate before he's won a nomination? Almost 60% of the mayors in this district. Well, I've asked them that question. They said, Rob, you understand what it takes to create jobs. You're doing it. Not only have you hired 60 of your own, but you've also created 500 jobs around the country for people who want to work in your industry. So you know what our communities are facing and struggling with. We need you as a partner in Congress.
Whether it's energy development that we've discussed today, and particularly opportunities for new green energy, or transportation development, and I would cite the Columbia River crossing as a prime example, or the need for upgrades and modernizations of our communications infrastructure so that every single community, not only in our state but across America, has access to high-speed internet, which my own community does not. Unless and until federal government, state government, county government, and local government all work together, we're not going to be able to take care, or rather advantage, of all these critically important projects, critically important to our local communities, as well as our state and nation. And as the relationship that, as your congressman, I will continue to maintain with local electeds that will make the difference.
In his State of the County address earlier this, State of the Union address earlier this year, President Obama challenged American manufacturers to double exports by 2014. What can you do as a member of Congress to either support the President's goal and ambition or change the President's goal and ambition? Are you on board with his vision, or is there some other thing that you can do with our manufacturing and employers for their benefit? Suzanne Bonamici.
Thank you. I agree we need to double exports, and this is a very trade-dependent district, and that's why I'm asking all of you again to give me your input. This is the way I will analyze any trade agreement that comes before me. Does it create jobs in the 1st Congressional District, and does it have the labor environmental standards that we're looking for to make it a strong trade agreement that will result in jobs in the 1st Congressional District? I understand the importance of trade, and I'm open to a trade agreement if it meets those requirements. That's why I want to hear from you, because some of you have said these trade agreements will be detrimental, and some of you have said they will help. I want to do what's best for the 1st Congressional District in creating jobs and expanding export markets. I was talking to somebody in agriculture just the other day who said that more than 90% of his business is in exports. So yes, we can really build the economy here in the 1st Congressional District by expanding exports.
Well, with all due respect, if you've been a legislator as long as you have, then you should know your district. You should know your legislative district. And certainly this legislative district and this congressional district depends on trade. I'm so glad we have a president that acknowledges that and that recognizes that. And the free trade agreements had been on his desk for 3 years, and they've been in existence even before he took office. There's been plenty of time, especially as an elected official, to decide whether or not you support those agreements. It's time for action. It's time for leadership. It's time for boldness. And I would repeat, Intel has 16,000 employees. 100% of them are dependent on international trade. And how many other companies in this district rely on Intel? How many of our schools and communities rely on a healthy Intel, or a healthy Nike, or a healthy Columbia, or a healthy Solar World? They all do. And if we do not champion as the congressperson this district and what we stand for, then first of all, we don't understand the district, and second, we're not going to be effective, and we're just going to have more of the same, ladies and gentlemen.
Consider, if you will, for a moment, how many dollars each of you have in your wallet or your purse. 1/3 of those dollars, either directly or indirectly, are tied to foreign commerce in the state of Oregon. This is a vitally important sector. And it's critically important that we no longer, as a nation, hamstring our employers and our workforce with unlevel playing fields, the trade pacts that we negotiate. We need to make absolutely sure that that the trade pacts that we enter into provide for worker protections, environmental protections, and consumer protections for our foreign trading partners. If they don't, we are subsidizing their neglect of those very protections and continuing to undermine the ability for our businesses here stateside to be able to compete.
Well, the question was about manufacturing in particular. I'll support the president when he's right, but I will push him when he's wrong. Trade and manufacturing go hand in hand. This congressional district is 7th out of the 435 congressional districts in the amount of manufacturing jobs that we have lost overseas. 20,000 alone to China. You cannot say, let's double manufacturing in this country, and oh, by the way, if you want to build something and export it, you're going to have to pay a lot more in tariffs to get it into a foreign market than those countries are going to have to pay to get their goods into our market. This is why the free trade agreements that were just passed by Congress are going to shoot us in the foot once again and drive manufacturing jobs to other countries. I think we should double manufacturing, but I think we should be building the things here and getting them into foreign markets like China, not shooting ourselves in the foot with agreements that preclude that.
Our final question from the audience also reflects on the economic indicators that I provided each of the candidates prior to the forum. Sadly, 1 in 5 residents of the 1st Congressional District live in a food insecure household. What would you do as a member of Congress to address this important issue? And we lead with Rob Cornilles, please.
It comes back to jobs, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this election's about. You have to ask yourself, which of these candidates is more inclined to focus on job creation? Which of us is more able to affect positive change in this area for this district right now? And I'm very, very saddened by the statistic that Jonathan just read. But the problem is it's been hanging over our heads for years. We're not only close to the top in hunger, but also poverty, homelessness. It has to change. If you continue to think like you've always thought as a district, you'll continue to get what you've always got. And I'm not satisfied with that. How do we create more jobs? We simplify the tax code. We eliminate the loopholes, especially for the big-time corporations, and we also reduce rates for everybody. We simplify, we engage in regulatory reform, not eliminating regulations, but bringing them back to a balance, to a reasonable state. We also, as I said earlier, we provide an understanding of what we're good at, and we maximize that. And of course, we have to provide an education system so that this becomes a magnet for business, not only to stay, but to come.
That statistic is symptomatic of such a desperate need for jobs across Oregon's 1st Congressional District and much of our state. And we simply have to create adequate, good-paying jobs to employ our people so that they can make their family budget each and every week. The way we do that is to begin to invest in those sectors that are of critical importance to our state and national economies. Again, energy, transportation, and communications, and invest in our public buildings. And in the process, save money through energy efficiencies and actually begin saving the taxpayers money. These programs are based on construction that gets people back to work quickly, injects money back into our economy quickly, rebuilds our nation's infrastructure, and sets our nation back on course to economic prosperity once again.
You know, I met a woman not long ago in Washington County that taught me a lot about how important this question is. I walked up the pathway to her house, 2 kids playing in the front yard, tattered shorts, shaved heads, distended bellies, kind of thing you'd see in a third world country, not Washington County. I talked to her at her doorstep about public education and the economy, the things you normally talk about. I could see that as not where she was out. So we talked about her kids and her family, and as I said goodbye and left, she said, "You know what I need?" And I turned back around and she said, "Something to eat." A mile from here. I went straight back to my office. I called the Oregon Food Bank to make sure that that family was taken care of. It is about jobs, but it's also about protecting the social safety net we have built in this country, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid assistance programs, and starting with a great public education system that raises citizens that are capable of dealing with anything life throws with them. It's a terrific question, but that's the global way that we need to address that issue.
It's a sobering statistic that there are so many families who are struggling. And it isn't just hunger, it's families losing their homes, the number of foreclosures rising, and the problems that people are having because they're struggling, because they're out of work and they can't get out of poverty. These are the people I've been fighting for and working for my entire career, helping the less fortunate and making sure that they can get back to work, that they don't lose their homes. If there's a preventable foreclosure, we absolutely need to do what we can to revitalize the housing market. In this last session, I passed a bill that I'm sorry I had to work on, but I passed a bill that makes more after-school programs eligible for federal meal programs, because sometimes it's the only meal that the child is getting. And I'm proud to have passed that legislation. I'm sorry we had to do that. But we do need to get people back to work. Absolutely. I see Representative Doherty here. She and I worked with Business Oregon, our state economic development department. We went to them and said, what can we do to help get people back to work? We were able to streamline the process for small businesses and entrepreneurs to qualify for small business loans. I'll continue that important work in Congress.
To conclude today's forum, we'd like to invite each of the candidates to give us 3 minutes or less of what to do with our ballots now that we have them, and what distinguishes their campaign and their candidacy for the 1st Congressional District to deserve our votes on November 8th. Mr. Witt, will you please lead off?
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a millionaire. Rather, I am someone who has dedicated my career to the working families of Oregon. My record shows that I have worked to expand health insurance for all of Oregon's children, increased housing opportunities for seniors, disabled individuals, and low-income families, provided care and housing for homeless veterans, protected Oregon's legendary environment and coastline, and waived tuition for spouses and children of those veterans who gave their lives or were 100% disabled in the line of duty. I'm asking you to send me to Washington because Oregon needs a congressman who understands the economy, a congressman who will put jobs as priority #1, and a congressman who knows what it's like to be from a working family. I just didn't show up on a picket line because it's an election year. I spent years defending workers' rights. I've been threatened, I have been shot at, and I have had my Jeep firebombed. But I never wavered, and I never quit, because it was the right thing to do. Today, the right thing to do is end the Bush tax cuts and use the money to get Americans back to work, rebuilding our nation's infrastructure. The right thing to do is to lift the cap on Social Security earned income and to negotiate the best price for Medicare drug prescriptions. The right thing to do is to bring our troops home from Afghanistan, just like we're doing in Iraq. And the right thing to do is to provide for the needs of all of our veterans. I am the only candidate who has the experience and proven leadership to represent you as your next congressman. I'm Brad Witt, and I respectfully request your vote. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you once again for what I think has been a great public discussion. The question is, what should you do with your ballots? First, make sure you fill them out. Second, pick the person, whoever it is, that you think can go to Congress and get results. Everybody talks about doing great things. Pick the person that can actually get the job done for you. You know, one of the things that we didn't spend a lot of time talking about today that I just think is of the utmost importance is public education. It's something that got me my start in politics when the Beaverton School District, as a budget cuts, eliminated its elementary bands and orchestras, and I helped gather up some local parents to start Southwest Music School to try and keep that culture alive in our community a little bit. There's a reason that the Beaverton teachers, the Portland teachers, and Oregon's teachers statewide have only endorsed me in this race. I have pushed for the highest school funding budgets when I was in Salem and as labor commissioner. I repealed the burdensome sim cam that made it difficult for teachers to teach and clogged up the day for students. I have pushed for a repeal of the No Child Left Behind Act that pits school against school and state against state in this competitive model that necessitates winners and losers, and I will never support a plan that puts any third grader at the end of a losing equation in public schools. And last year, the very important effort to return shop classes to our middle schools and high schools, which will begin next year. There's no reason why this state in America should not have the best, most supported public education system that you can find anywhere on the globe. It is the key to jobs. It is the key to the social safety net. It is the key to raising well-rounded citizens. I have gotten the job done for you when you sent me to the State House and the State Senate. I have rolled up my sleeves and worked hard and gotten the job done for you as your Commissioner of Labor and Industries. And if you send me to Congress, I will roll up my sleeves and I will work hard and I will get the job done for you there as well. Again, thank you very much for this terrific public discussion today.
Well, thank you so much, Westside Economic Alliance, and Jonathan, and everyone for being here today in this opportunity. But I want to make clear, it's been a good discussion, but it really isn't about us as candidates. The election's about all the people out there across the district who are struggling to get by, who are looking for a job, who want to keep their job, whose house is underwater, and who are looking for someone to stand up for them. That's who this election is about. It's about those who work hard and play by the rules, and they're trying to thrive. It's about those who are worried about their retirement, about their children's future, about the direction of our country. And this special election comes at a time when people are losing faith in Congress. I think you heard this statistic about how many people are concerned about the direction of the country and hold Congress in their very low esteem. Well, worse yet, we're running out of time to restore that faith. And at this point in time, I have something to offer. I have a record and a reputation of being able to get things done without being divisive or offensive. That's why the Oregonian, the Willamette Week, the Beaverton Valley Times have all endorsed my candidacy. And I'll take these values with me to Congress and this record of accomplishment and reputation. And I've never lost sight of it. It's how I've conducted myself the entire time I've been an adult in my career as an attorney, as a community volunteer, and as a legislator. We must put aside our differences and bring people together to get the work done. We need to focus on creating jobs by helping small businesses get access to capital, by rebuilding our infrastructure. We need to keep our promises to seniors on the Social Security and the Medicare that they've earned. And we absolutely must strengthen public education, pre-K through college. Early childhood education is critical. I don't know if you saw the column the other day, Occupy Our Classrooms. We cannot be cutting programs like Head Start. If my grandparents were here today, I think they'd tell you that we the people is more than just a concept. It's really something that we live and work for every day. And if Ferdinando and Leonardo Bonamici were here today, I think they'd tell you that it was worth crossing an ocean for, and it's certainly worth fighting for. So I'll go back to Congress with this principle in mind for future generations and for our children and our grandchildren. Opportunity for those who thrive and work hard, and accountability for those who don't. This is a critical moment for our economic future and our democratic future. So don't forget that sometimes it's the simple things that really make a difference in our future, like remembering to vote. So if you haven't already filled out your ballot, I'm Suzanne Bonamici. and I respectfully request your vote. Thank you.
First of all, I thank the other candidates. I enjoy being with them, and they're all good people. I want to share with you a little bit about me that you may not know. What I do when I'm not campaigning. What I do when I'm not running a small business in Tualatin. I'm on the board of the Special Olympics of Oregon. And why am I on that board? Because I care deeply about children, especially those who are disadvantaged. I'm on the board for the Oregon League of Minority Voters. Why have I chosen to be on that board? Because I think our minorities in this community, in this state, need a greater voice in this state. Their purposes, their dreams, their ambitions need to be represented. I'm also on the board of Virginia Garcia Memorial Foundation. You probably know Virginia Garcia. It's a community health center. In fact, there are 6, almost 7 clinics in Washington and Yamhill counties. I'm on that organization's board because I believe strongly that health care is a vital interest in our community, and health care coming out of Washington is not fixing our problem. Or rather, community health centers are just that. They're opportunities locally to fix national problems. And I'm a huge believer in what we're doing in Virginia Garcia to lend health care, not health insurance, but health care to those who are either unemployed or perhaps with low income or worse yet, no income. That's something I care deeply about. I'm also on the board of such local organizations as the International Air Show in Hillsborough because I recognize how that brings commerce and economic activity to our local community here. I've coached multiple sports teams. My wife and I, Allison, who've been married more than 25 years, and I thank her for being here this morning. We've been very involved in the Tiger Tualatin School District, who are our 3 sons, 2 of whom have graduated from the district, 1 who's still in high school. I'm very involved because I care deeply about Oregon. I love this state. My business, frankly, could be anywhere in the country, but Allison and I made a conscious choice 16 years ago to plant ourselves here because we believe not only in the state and what its capacity is, but also in the people, our neighbors, who we're so fond of. I want to make it a better place. And I'm going back to Congress with your help so that we can restore principles representing this district that once made us great. I can do that if you'll take that ballot and fill it out and send it in with my name checkmarked and encourage other people to do the same thing. I look forward to your support. I look forward to future conversations with you so we can really put Oregon's 1st District back on the map. Thank you very much for your time today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our forum this morning and the time that we have allowed, but in the short minute that we have left, I would ask you to please let us know what you thought of today's program by filling out the evaluation cards on your table and give us some suggestions or ideas for what you'd like to hear at next month's forum. But let's be clear, you don't want to meet on Thanksgiving morning for a breakfast forum here at the Embassy Suites. Guessing that our next forum will be a compression of our December and December forum into one program on December 8th. We'll break from our normal pattern of meeting on the 4th Thursday of every month to eat bacon. We will allow you Thanksgiving Day with your families, but please join us back here on December 8th for a forum yet to be determined and a program of your choosing. So let us know about that. Also, please note that we have only 10 days to return these ballots to be counted. You've heard good reasons to return those ballots here today. Remind yourselves that a year ago at this time, it was 1,003 votes that separated Tom Hughes and his challenger for Metro President. It was 500 votes that separated County Commissioner Bob Terry from his challenger. It was 2 votes that determined the bond measure for the Park Grove School District in Multnomah County. Your vote matters, and you need to return this ballot and be very clear about your preference and choice for your elected public officials. As is our custom, we end on time. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your attention.